Hello everyone, welcome back to the Carnage Report. I am doing a video today solely on my nu metal album collection. Somebody asked me, and I figured I'd show it off. It took me a little bit because I have a lot of CDs, so I had to go through them, and so these stacks are not in order. So you're just gonna show off what I got as I grab something out of the pile. You can't see to the left of me, but I have 4 rather large piles in front of me, so this video might go on a while. But yeah, so we'll just dive right in, I guess. I've picked all these up at various locations. There's a number that are used CDs, but there's a number that I bought brand new, paid full price for them. Bought a lot online that were harder to find. It's just not easy to find a lot of these CDs anymore unless you buy them online. Yeah, I can find the mainstream ones like Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park and Slipknot and stuff like that in any store. But, like, Stereo Mud and V-Shaped Mind, not gonna find them. But yeah, so let's just jump right in here. Videodrone. Who remembers Videodrone? They were part of, I think they were on Elementary? Yes? No? No, they're on Reprise. But anyways, they had some association with Jonathan Davis besides him being on the lead single. I believe the members of Orgy also helped them out, and I know Fred Durst was on one of the songs. This album is a little weird, but it's really good. There was a hard market to find for it. Sometimes they kind of sounded nu metal-y, sometimes they kind of sounded more like Orgy or Dead Z, and they probably should have gone more closer to the electronic side of nu metal route, like synth heavy stuff, but I don't know, they kind of seemed like they were marketed to Korn fans, and that's not really where they lie. So, but I like this album a lot, and there was another band that was, I don't know if it was all the members, but it was Cradle of Thorns. They were okay, not as good, not as polished. V-Shaped Mind. Cul-de-sac. This is the one that had, or this is their only real album. They had an indie album called Metric, but I don't even know if you can buy that. This had Monsters on it, which was a minor radio hit in like 2000, and I'm not even going to look at this, 2003. It had Chad Gray from Mudvayne on it, doing rather useless shouting and like one bridge at a point in the song. But overall the album's pretty good. The guy's voice gets grating on certain songs because he has kind of a weird voice, but it works. If you want something that kind of sounds like a softer Mudvayne, you might want to try this out. Not as progressive as Mudvayne. Hate when everybody tells me that Mudvayne has jazz influences. They don't. Let's see. I don't know what the writing is on the front of this, but this is Unloco's first album, Healing. This doesn't even look like the right cover. Fuck. Oh, maybe. I think I'm missing some. Oh! There was a period of time where when I worked at Comcast, everyone should know what Comcast is. I worked in the call center. I would put album covers up on my wall in my cubicle, and I think the front of this got destroyed at some point while doing that. So I'm missing the front cover. But I love Unloco. Both their albums are really good and actually fairly different from one another. But I don't know, Unloco never caught on. Stop fighting! Now they're fine. So yeah, I don't understand why they never caught on. The first album, this album kind of had a less whiny, more ferocious Korn sound to it, and it worked really well. The whole album's really good. The whole second album's really good, but I'll get to that when I find that in the pile. But yeah, an album or a band that was overlooked. Never understood it. The Union Underground. I got to see these guys live in like 2001, and it was awesome. This album is awesome, although very super short, and nearly every song on this album feels like it was made to be a single, which is not a bad thing. They kind of had a less synthy Power Man 5000 sound to them. and I really liked it. Helps that I really like Power Man 5000. A lot of people didn't like these guys when I was in high school and never really understood it. Excuse me. 2 albums. Ultra Spank. There we go. So yeah, this is the first Ultra Spank album. Don't like it as much. This is the second album, Progress. This album is fucking awesome. Should have been super popular. Not sure why it wasn't. But yeah, this, I don't even know if they're well known. The singer of this band, and I think there's 2 other members, went on to form that alternative rock band Low Pro, which had a handful of singles in the mid-2000s. Much more radio-friendly band. But I like that band too, but yeah, second Ultra Spank album's awesome. Most people knew the first one because there was a song 5 that was in it was either 3 or 2 Extreme for the PlayStation 1. Like, the game opened with that music video playing. So it got some minor underground success thanks in part to that. Twisted Method, Escape from Cape Coma. Super vulgar album. A bit whiny, a bit obnoxious at times, but still a really good album, high energy. I saw these guys at Ozfest 03, I think. And they were really good. I don't know if I would say it stood the test of time like a lot of other albums in this collection, which I have more nostalgic holding to. But still a good album. I'll listen to it every once in a while. I don't even remember who told me about these guys. Actually, wait, I do. It was one of my semi-friends from the internet, Tim. 20 Dead Flower Children. Stupid fucking name. But this album is actually really good. I don't think it had... If it had any singles, I don't think anybody heard them. The only time anybody I knew about them was because they were on the very short-lived TV show. I thought I should have thought about this before I started talking about it. It had Matt Pinfield. Shit. Damn it. Now I just look dumb. Not that it matters. But, shit, I can't really name a show. But anyways, it was a music show, and they always had, musical show, they had music. Farm Club! Farm Club! I don't remember what channel it was on. It might have been on FX. I don't think it was on MTV. But anyways, they would have various things and musical guests, and because of the period of time, there was a number of nu metal bands that played on it. These guys played on it, and that was really the only time I've ever heard them mentioned in, like, any sort of televised bit. Like, they played a song called Greet the Machine, which is not on this album. They did a cover of Safety Dance, which I think they tried to play as a single, but I don't think I ever heard it. So, but anyways, it's a pretty good album, and you can probably find this for super cheap. It's called Candy, Toy Guns, and Television. Also a stupid name. Okay. Borderline nu metal. Kind of alternative rock. Trust Company. Saw these guys live forever ago. They sucked. But musically, I like Trust Company. They have their harder songs. They have a lot of soft songs. Both albums are kind of the same. If you like one, you probably like the other. I believe they came out with a third album recently, but I haven't heard anything from it, and I don't know how much I particularly care. But yeah, not super much to say about Trust Company. The only song anybody ever remembers is Downfall, which is a good song. But I had a friend, Mike, who I worked with at Comcast, who told me to check these guys out. I had never heard them before. Band called Thumb. I love, there's 2 songs on here that I listen to fairly regularly, and I don't remember the rest of them. But the first 2 songs, Sell Myself and Break Me, really good songs. If you like rappier nu metal, I would definitely check that out. They don't get super heavy, but That's fine. I don't even know if you'd called it this rap rock. 311, their main album. At least I think this is the main album. Yeah, this is the only album of theirs I have. But it's the one with all mixed up and down on it. I really like this album. It took me a while to actually like 311. Like, I don't know what my problem with them was when I was younger. But I like them now a lot, and this album's really good. Another Borderline band. Liquid Gang. I think they're from Canada. I might be wrong. But they have some songs that kind of fit the alternative metal bill, and the other half of their songs are ballady. But they had a song on, it was either the first or the second Return to the Rock album called Blunt Force Trauma. It's a kind of dumb rap metal song, but that was how I heard them for the first time, and then I found this album for like probably $1. And it's actually a really good album. I prefer their softer stuff to the heavier stuff, because I don't feel they do the heavy stuff as well. Blunt Force Trauma is kind of dumb, and probably one of the songs I listen to the least on the album. Let's see how many of these I got. I'll just hold them up. Linkin Park. How do I not have Meteora? God damn it. Alright, so I know there's a lot of CDs that I had when I was younger, either sold or whatever, but yeah, I've tried to reclaim a lot of stuff. I've got 3 Linkin Park albums. Hybrid Theory, which for some reason doesn't have a back cover. Hybrid Theory's good. Meteor is my favorite album. Don't know why I don't have it. Minutes to Midnight, which I found on the super cheap. This album I hated when it first came out. I've grown tolerant of it since. This album, shockingly, I really liked. 1,000 Suns. A lot of people didn't like it because it was when they were starting to go super electro, and I like that sort of sound, so this album really worked for me. But then the last 2 albums, not super crazy about them. I can't even remember the names of them. But, I got a lot of these. Limp Bizkit. Unquestionable Truth Part 1. Awesome album. Actually, some people say it's a spiritual successor to $3 Bill Y'all, which is an album I actually don't like very much. I get a lot of flack for that. It's not all that good of an album. But Unquestionable Truth, really good. Results May Vary. The album without West Borland on it. Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. Probably my favorite Limp Bizkit album. It's obnoxious. It's funny. It's loud, angry, and I love it. And the first 2. Significant Other, $3 Bill Y'all. Both good out. Well, I just counteracted myself. $3 Bill, I like half the album. Don't like the other half. Bits and pieces. Significant Other, I like all the way through. Good album. But Limp Bizkit isn't for everyone, and I know they're super obnoxious to some people, and they were like the poster child for hating on new metal and rap metal. What else we got? I'm gonna take a sip of beer. Oh, look at this classy Budweiser. It's not actually that good. Lifer. 2 of the guys from this band would go on to form Breaking Benjamin, and but I like Lifer more. They I don't know, they just didn't have a fan base. They got kind of lumped in with everyone else, and nobody cared. But it was another album I found super cheap, and I really grew to like it. Oh, and they won some MTV cover contest when they were called Strangers with Candy. Let's see here. The only Incubus album I'll show, because it's the only Incubus album that really fits. Science! Good album. It's the one with certain shade of green and New Skin. Really good songs. Actually, the whole album's really good, except for I don't remember. There's one song that I don't like, and it's I think it's the fucking DJ driving the song. It's kind of like Battlestar Scratch-A-Latica. I'm messing that up, but it's the one on Make Yourself that's all DJ stuff. I hate that song. I know I have another one here somewhere, but 2 Head PE albums, the first 2. I love both of these albums, and actually, I don't know why I don't own it, but I love the third one too, Blackout. But, Broke, definitely the best Head PE album, the most popular one, and for good reason. It's the one with Bartender and Killing Time on it. The first album, a little rougher, a little more punky, punk-ish, harder hitting, lower budget, but a really good album. Oh, that thing popped up in front of me. Get out of here. There we go. But yeah, really liked Head PE for the first 3 albums. Then there was a long drought where they kind of bordered on sucking. And that's all I got to say about that. The new album's good though, and I've got that here somewhere too. Not many people I know have both of these. Grade 8? Second Grade 8 album. Who knew Grade 8 had 2 albums? The first one is far better produced, sounds better, and I saw them, I think, at Ozfest 2003 with Twisted Method. They were really good. High energy rap metal. They kind of sound like Soil if Soil had rap vocals. Lyrics are equally as dumb. But the second Grade 8 album I've gotten used to. It's hard for the few people I've shown to get into it, even fans who liked the first album. I don't know what the vocalist was doing or if something had happened to him, but his voice sounds kind of crappy most of the time. It's like he's trying to do something that his voice can't actually do, like sing. I actually don't know much about this album, but the few songs I have heard I do like. It's a band called Headstrong. The only song I can even think of that I remember is All of the Above and Inside Joke, and those 2 songs are cool. But yeah, it's kind of a band that got lost in my super sea of albums. So, hey, look, second Unloco album, Becoming I. Beautifully crafted album, possibly one of my favorite nu metal albums ever. The production on this album is beyond amazing. The songwriting's really good. They kind of dropped off some of the heaviness of the first album, the rawness. The bass wasn't as Cornish poppy. I don't know, everything just sounds better. But yeah, and still don't understand how they didn't become popular. Doesn't make any sense to me. Slipknot, Iowa, my favorite Slipknot album. Something's fucking awesome. I don't know why. I think I just never bought another copy. I don't have the first Slipknot album for some reason. But I love both of them. I do like this one more, but the first Slipknot album is still really awesome. One of my favorite bands of the entire... Actually, one of my favorite bands of all time. Reveille, Bleed the Sky. I got to see these guys when they did their reunion show in Worcester, Mass in... I can't remember the year. But they played with Null Set and Crown Vict and a few other bands. They were beyond awesome. I was so happy. But yeah, no. Love Bleed the Sky. Nearly every song on this album is a song that I like listening to regularly. And the thing is, I did kind of burn myself out on the album years ago, but I can still listen to it now. I kind of feel the same way about Skeletons from Nothing Face. Like, that was actually the same period where I was listening to both albums all the time. And so kind of wore myself out on them. My favorite Project 86 album, Songs to Burn Your Bridges By. It was the album they released after they got dropped from their record label when they had a minor radio hit. They had Truthless Heroes. Yeah, it had Hollow Again on it. And really good song. Album's kind of but record label wouldn't back it or whatever. They kind of got dropped, and then they released this album, which is absolutely awesome. Like, nearly every song on this album is great. Let's see. Orgy. Candy Ass, the first Orgy album. Really good album. Good mix of nu metal, industrial, and just weird, dark, fairly dark nu metal. But yeah, I love that album. It was before they got a little bright and shiny and cleaned up for their second album, Vapor Transmission, which I also love. Hey, look, Nothing Face. I just mentioned them. It's the Skeletons. It's the one with Ether on it, and a really good album. But I can go without listening to it for months at a time because of how many times I've heard the album. I can still hear most of them in my head. My favorite Coal Chamber album, and no, I'm not putting up the first one. Chamber Music. It annoys me greatly that I've seen Coal Chamber twice now, and they refuse to play anything more than like 2 songs from this album. There are 16 songs in this album, and you had like, well, actually there's 15 songs in this album because of the intro. And you had like 4 or 5 B-sides that you recorded for soundtracks and other things during that period, and you play 2. Fuck you! But yeah, no, I love this album, and because I spent so much time with this album before I ever heard the first one, I knew Loco. That was about it. And, nah, that first album doesn't resonate with me. I do have it, but... And Dark Days is okay. And the new album sounds like it's going to be Dark Days Part 2. Heh! Everyone's favorite band. Crazy Town! Look, 2 Crazy Town albums. They're releasing a new album, and it's probably gonna suck because everything I've heard from it sucks. But Gift a Game, stupid but entertaining, and I like it. Dark Horse, they tried to be a rock band, and it worked. Problem is, the public wasn't biting. So it got a minor radio hit with a song called Drowning, and they tried to release a ballad to kind of catch on to the Butterfly crowd with Hurt You So Bad. Didn't work, and then they kind of just fell apart, and that was it. But yeah, I like Crazy Town, and that'll probably get me some flack, but whatever. Crossbreed. K101, the last album they released. New Slave Nation, the EP they released in between. Synthetic Division. The only one I don't have is .01, which sounds like shit, and it's super hard to find. That was the indie release. But I really like Crossbreed. I got to see them live once, but their set was cut short because they decided to use their belt grinder thing on stage, even though they were told not to. So they played 4 songs, and pissed me off. But anyways, I really like Crossbreed. Whether they've stood the test of time, there's a few songs, like I'll listen to Underlined still. Like half of the first album I still really like. Some songs on New Slave Nation, 48 Grave especially, and a few songs from KU101, especially Hollow. I fucking love Hollow. And I think they tried shipping that as a single, which should have worked, but I don't think they had any real backing for it, so kind of fell apart. Anyways, like Crossbreed. The only 2 cold albums that matter. Yay! This is the first one. It's really good. If you like this one, you should listen to this one. They were a little heavier on this one. This was the hit album. No, it doesn't have Stupid Girl on it. But it had Just Got Wicked, No One, Bleed, which was renamed as 13 for the radio, and End of the World. All I used to see the videos for all the time and hear on the radio. Good band. And then they released Year of the Spider, and progressively got worse with each new album, and I saw them live during A Different Kind of Pain, I think, and no, it was a bad time. Very bad time. Oh, look what I got. The rest of my Coal Chamber collection. Giving the Devil His Due. It's a compilation album with a lot of the remixes and B-sides on it, and the last song they ever recorded, Headstones and the Walking Dead. Good song. Dark Days, which, what'd I get? $7. Yeah, fair enough. And the first one with its super ugly cover. Look at that. Ugh. I don't know, there's some sort of charm to it. But yeah, I can go without listening to this one very often. But what about Big Truck? Shut up. Alright, what do we got here? Kinda new metal, kinda not. I'm sure I'll get an argument about it. Bring Me the Horizon, Sempiternal. The only Bring Me the Horizon album I even remotely like, and I love this album. They started using clean vocals, cleaned up their songwriting, and added synthesizers. How could I not like it? But yeah, awesome album. Chevel! I don't know why this is a sleeve, but Venacera? Probably my least favorite of the ones I have in my hand right now. This Type of Thinking Could Do Us In. My favorite Chevel album. The one with Vitamin R on it. Wonder What's Next, the one most people knew, because it had the red and Send the Pain Below on it. And the first one, where they were still kind of trying to be Tool. And, excuse me. And, good album. I'd like to get my hands on the Blue album, but I don't think that's going to happen. That was the EP they released before Point Number 1. I think it was an independent release. But, yeah, hard to find. Let's see what we got here. Ooh. The Blank Theory. Beyond the Calm of the Corridor. A couple of these guys would go on to form Medina Lake, who more people knew than The Blank Theory. I should probably get this out of the way before it starts getting in. Yeah. This is where the CD stack is right now. The first one. Also from The Blank Theory, Catalyst. Yeah, I got an EP. It's had a few songs that ended up on the main full length, but I believe they had 2 EPs before the main album came out, and I've tried forever to get the other one, but hard to do. Let's see what we got here. I can't believe I only have one of their albums. The New Boy Hits Car album. Really good. Just like the last one, which was Stealing Fire from the Sun. Both of these albums are really good. I didn't like Boy Hits Car when I was younger. Like the stuff they did in the early 2000s. Like the album with I'm a Cloud on it and Man Without Skin or something like that. They never really spoke to me. But then all of a sudden Boy Hits Car came back. I heard the album before this one I just showed you, and it was fucking awesome. It's like, where was this when I was younger? I would have loved it. But I don't know. I'm glad they're good now. This is a hit or miss album. It's okay. Boiler Room, Can't Breathe. Like I mentioned earlier with who was it? Liquid Gang. These guys too had a song on the Return of the Rock compilation album that MTV put out. It was called Do It Again, and they used it as a single. It was a pretty good song, and half the album's good. The other half's kind of... Admittedly, this is an album I don't know much about, besides the guy who's in it. Big Dumb Face, Duke Lion something or other. Duke Lion Fights the Terror. This is Wes Borland's side project thing while he was in Limp Bizkit. There was a single where him and a bunch of other people dressed up in silly costumes, and it was silly. And I don't remember much besides that. One of my favorite bands that no one ever knows. Apartment 26. This was the first one. Far more industrial oriented, a little heavier. The bonus track on this, which I don't think is on this album, no it is not, was on the Heavy Metal 2000 soundtrack. And they had an EP, and I swore I had a copy of it, but I can't seem to locate it. But the second album, they changed their sound, became a little more streamlined. Did manage to get a minor radio hit with a song called Give Me More. But the first album had a song on one of the Mission Impossible movie soundtracks. I can't remember which one, though. But it was called Backwards. And a lot of people I remember from the early days of... Before it was called YouTube, when they used to put together compilation videos of their favorite animes or video games and stuff like that, there were a number of people who used Backwards as the song The A New Revolution. This album is very okay. This was it was the singer of Unloco. I believe it was the drummer and bassist of Slaves on Dope, and somebody... Actually, you know what? It might have been 2 people from Unloco and 2 people from Slaves on Dope. But yeah, it borders on nu metal and alternative rock, and it's okay. Actually, I think my favorite song on that album is a cover of New Order. True Faith. But they released a second album that was somehow less interesting than this one, and I think they broke up. But as I've seen recently, I think Unloco might have gotten back together, which would be awesome to see. American Head Charge. I love this album. I love the second album too, and for some reason I don't have it. But yeah, these guys I guess are working on a new album, and I very much look forward to it. I've seen them like 3 or 4 times, and I was supposed to see them again recently during the Coal Chamber tour with Filter, but for some reason they weren't at our date. Combi Christ was there, but no American Head Charge. Sucked. But I've seen them 3 or 4 times. Always put on a good show. Very good musicians who... No, it was just bad timing to come out with an album like this, because I believe this album came out like 2 weeks before 9/11. Is this something you'd want in your stores directly after we got attacked by terrorists? Nope. Adema's first album. I thought I had a copy of Unstable as well, because I really like that album too. But if you can get past the dumb lyrics, I like Adema. But lyrically, Marky Chavez, or is it Jonathan Davis' stepbrother? Or cousin? Something like that. But lyrically, he's much to be desired. Oh, here's the Head PE album I was talking about. I think I showed this in the last video. Evolution, newest album. Really good, surprisingly. Korn's Issues, also showed that. One of my favorite albums. Alright, what else we got here? Ooh, For fans of Five Finger Death Punch, Ghost Machine. Do you know what Ghost Machine is? Probably not. Ghost Machine was the group... Well, actually, I don't think it was even a group. I think it was just a couple of people. But it was the singer of, at that time, Motograder, with an electronic producer, and formed this awesome synthy, dark, nu metal-y band. Well, actually, it was kind of nu metal, but it was a bunch of things. But I kind of lump it in here. It was a really good album. And then there was no more Ghost Machine stuff, and he formed Five Finger Death Punch, and the rest is that. Now he's making money, so I mean, can't really fault that. He did his thing. Speaking of Reveille, Genuflect, the first 2 albums. I don't have the 3rd one yet. I would like to get a hold of it at some point. This one kind of sucks. This is the 2nd one, the Shadow Side. But The End of the World, really good album. Came right out of the gate, like it kind of, part of it felt like where Reveille left off with Bleed the Sky. Obviously not as good on my radar, because I absolutely love Bleed the Sky, but it's still really good. And one of my favorite things about Reveille was the vocals, so for Genuflect to have the vocalist, that worked in their favor for me. Alright, so I have 3 Full Devil Jacket albums. The first full length, which is fantastic. The EP that preceded that, which... Does this one have Green Iron Fist on it? No. Does any of them have Green Iron Fist on it? Boo! Green Iron Fist was a song on the Heavy Metal 2000 soundtrack, and it's fucking awesome. But anyways, then we got Valley of Bones, which is the one that came out not terribly long ago. Like, I think it actually just got released, but I've had this for like a year. It's okay. It's nothing crazy good. It's kind of a half-assed follow-up to the self-titled release they had many years ago. Let's see. Speaking of bands no one remembers. From Zero, got One Nation Under, which is the one most people knew because of Check Ya. It's a good song. The album's okay. Has its moments where it's good. It has its moments where I don't know what they're trying to do. This one, I'm tempted to say it sucks, but it has 2 songs that are worth listening to. The first one, the first song on the album, Myself, was good, and they had a cover of I Don't Care Anymore from... It was either Genesis or just the main guy there's solo stuff. But those 2 songs are good. The single they released from that album was called Sorry, and it fucking sucked. No wonder that album got no reception. Number bands. 40 Grit is an album called Heads. This is a very good album. It was I had no idea who 40 Grit was, but I found it somewhere in a used CD bin, and I was like, oh, that looks neat, and it's really good. They kind of sound like Machine Head during their nu metal period at points. It's pretty good, but a little darker. They use synths sometimes. The 2 important 40 Below summer albums. I don't have any of the rare stuff, and I don't even know if they released a physical copy of their last album, the one that came out like 2 years ago, but I don't even like that album very much. But these 2 are fucking awesome. Like this, I like half of a lot, and the other half I'm just okay with. But this album, through and through, is considered by many more underground nu metal fans a classic in the genre. Really good. Step Into the Sideshow is a fantastic song. Yay, Flybanger, Canadian nu metal. I love this album. Oh wait, no, this is Outlived. Never mind. This was an EP. It's alright. I know I have the main one somewhere. It's Head Trip to Nowhere. The 2 important Flaw albums. Should just separate them like I've been doing with everything else. This was the second album. It's far inferior to the first one, but it's still good. But this was the first album. Very good. It sold quite a bit at the time and had 2 really good... Actually, they might have had 3 singles. I think Only the Strong was released as a single, but it was also on like the Scorpion King soundtrack, I think. But yeah, Payback and Hole did quite well on the radio, and I used to see the videos all the time. 5 Foot Thick, kind of a more hardcore oriented nu metal band in the vein of like Dry Kill Logic, but more listenable. At least for this album. I think they became super metalcore after this, and I wasn't a fan. But yeah, that's Blood Puddle. It was an EP. Or actually, I think that's enough songs for a full length. This is another borderline band who I'm just kind of okay with. This was when bands are starting to become a little bit more emo. Finger Tight. They kind of fit both genres at the time. Like they were kind of emo punk, alternative rock, and a little bit of nu metal and alternative metal. It was a mesh that I know there was a number of people who I knew who had this album who really liked it. I wasn't really one of them. There's like 3 or 4 songs in this album that I can listen to, and the rest I just kind of skip over. A good album from a band that should have been given the chance to release a full length. Erase the Gray. Members would go on to form the band. Actually, I think it was just the singer. Form the band Ricketts, who were far inferior. Ricketts were okay, but like Erase the Gray was awesome. Rain, if I remember right, did okay on radio, but the band never got a major offer and never got to release an album, and it sucked. It is warm in here. Another band that I should have seen live was at a show where they were playing and didn't know who they were, so I didn't pay attention. Endo! First two albums. Actually, I think it's the only two albums. They had some demo that I have a burned copy of, but these are the only two things that were ever released. Another band, kind of like Unloco, where the two albums are very different. This one, the first one, much heavier, much more aggressive, whereas they, hold on. Excuse me. But on this, the second album here, streamlined their sound, became more melodic. The guy sang better, and I think they got a hit out of it, or a minor hit, Simple Lies, which was on the Punisher soundtrack, I believe. And like, that song got radio play. I never heard anything from the first album get radio play. But yeah, they were at Ozfest in 02 or 03. I think it was 03. And I missed them because I didn't know who they were. But I look back on that regretting. They came back a couple years ago. And, oh, right on the sticker there. On Ozfest 2003. Sorry, I'm just looking at stuff. But yeah, they came back, released like one song, I think. Get Low, I think. And it was okay. And but I think they got frustrated by the lack of response they were getting, and just kind of fell apart again. Speaking of hardcore-oriented nu metal bands, Element 80. Most people knew this band because of Broken Promises, which was on some video game soundtrack. It was one of the Need for Speed things. But Element 80 was really good, and I felt that at the time, I can't remember when this came out, it was like 2003 or 2004, 2003. I felt it was a perfect time for an album like that. It was a very melodic mix of like rappy elements of nu metal with a hardcore sound, and I don't know, it just didn't pick up. But it's a good album, and I like listening to it now and again. Band I dismissed when I was younger, and now have started regretting it because now I actually like their music. Earshot, Letting Go, the one with Weight. Oh wait, oh, it's not the one with Weight on it. Damn it. Oh, so this was the first album. I believe Headstrong used to get played on the radio, and that was the song that everyone thought was a Tool copy. And I don't know. I like the second album a lot, and at some point I'm probably going to have to pick that up. But yeah. So yeah, Earshot's borderline new metal, more alternative metal. Kind of how people lump Tool in sometimes. They're not progressive metal. Shut up. Dust to Dust, a good band that just, I don't know, they didn't really have much to stand out with their sound. They kind of sounded like a bunch of other bands lumped into a blender, but it worked really well and it sounded really good. But I don't know, I remember seeing them listed on countless tours. So they were like the opening go-to band for tons of tours during the early 2000s, but they just clearly never latched on, and it sucked. A favorite of mine that only got to release one album and no one cared about them. I actually got to see these live years ago. These guys live. Dragpipe from New Jersey. They're a nu metal band who has 3 guitarists, and they don't need 3 guitars because they don't do anything special. But I really like the music they put together. Like, I like all the songs from the album. Even the kind of crappy ballad, fucking, I don't remember the name of the song. Fountain of Pain. That's probably the one album or one song on the album I would skip. But I really like Dragpipe, and countless years of defending them against people who thought they were stupid with the single, or they had one video for a song called Simple Minded, and I think it was also in a couple of video games, but it didn't really bode too well because it kind of made them look like assholes. But I could tell that it was being sarcastic or facetious, and but I don't know, didn't work well. the band that was produced by Clown from Slipknot, Down the Sun. This album is okay. It has its moments where the band, I kind of felt these guys to be a more aggressive but less interesting American Head Charge. Like, they had kind of that setup, and they had a bunch of members, but they were vocally and like they had their aggression was more on line with Slipknot, but their songwriting lacked anything really catchy. Once in a while, like, half the songs in the album are okay. The other half, I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish, and it kind of sounds crappy. But I don't know. Down the Sun never got any appeal and is kind of alright. They didn't really deserve it. Dope. First album. Fucking amazing. Almost everything on this album was written by the lead singer. And so they kind of had an urban Nine Inch Nails sound to them. With like a rap metal coated over it. But after that, he would actually get real band members, because you can't just be writing all the music yourself, and progressively started making less interesting music to me. I still like Dope, but it's not the same. Speaking of which, though, the last Dope album, probably my second favorite album of theirs. It's ridiculously catchy, well thrown together. Actually, I take that back. Life is my second favorite Dope album, but this will be third, because there's 5? Yeah, 5. But yeah, they actually got a minor hit out of it. They had a song called Addiction that Zakk Wylde did some guitars on, and I used to hear it on the radio pretty regularly. I thought I had more from these guys, but I guess I don't. Probably once upon a time I did. But Deftones, I have White Pony, which is definitely their best album, and Diamond Eyes, which finally there was a cluster between these two albums where they released self-titled album and Saturday Night Wrist, and those albums suck. They were trying to experiment and it wasn't working at all, and sucks. But yeah, they hit their stride again with Diamond Eyes and the past album that I don't know how to say the name of, but I don't have a copy of that. And I swore I had Around the Fur, because I like that album. I don't like Adrenaline, so I'd probably never own that. A weird band, and I don't even remember how I heard these guys. But Defenestration, it's a female-fronted nu metal band who would occasionally get aggressive on the level of, like, actually more aggressive than, like, Kitty. Yeah, it was called 1 Inch God, and yeah, I really liked this album. I don't listen to it very often, or at least it's been a while, but there was a period where I was listening to it fairly regularly. Oh, speaking of bands no one cares about anymore. Dead Z. First 2 albums, because I've never been able to obtain a copy of their self-titled album that came out before this one. Their build is such, but these 2 albums are not very different from each other. This one is more smothered in synth, yes, but this one still has a lot of it. This was the one that had the hit, Key to Gramercy Park. It also had a cover, or 2 covers that were released as singles. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Brand New Love was released as a single, and that was a cover of... It's not going to tell me. Fine, don't tell me. But they also covered Tom Sawyer, which I saw them do live, and it was awesome. But Dead Z's a band I really liked. They were kind of in the orgy, Videodrone, crossbreed camp, and I don't know. They just couldn't get the popularity that Orgy had at the time. Which, I mean, it's not very... it's kind of unfortunate, but yeah. I'm sure he's well off because his mom is Cher, the singer. The Deadlights. this, speaking as well as Dust to Dust, this was a band that got thrown onto a shit ton of tours in the early 2000s. Like, they were like the opening go-to band along with Dust to Dust. Like, if Dust to Dust wasn't available, they got the Deadlights. Or Factory 81. But yeah, it's a really good album. The vocalist kind of sounds like Billy Corgan at times, but like, plus screaming. So, like, and yes, I know Corgan screamed sometimes, but like, I'm talking about regularly. And they were, it was very much a nu metal album. Didn't do any sort of rapping very much, but occasionally. But they had their ballads too, which were really well done. Darwin's Waiting Room. They were the band that did Feel So Stupid. And I'm kind of on the fence. This album is pretty good, but I was exposed to the album that was supposed to be the follow-up to this, called Apology Accepted. It was never... basically, they finished the album and brought it to the record label, and the label was like, nah. And so they kept trying to adjust it and kept bringing it to the label. The label didn't care. So they got dropped, broke up. And at some point or another, they leaked the album online. So it was like an unmastered version of the album. And I fucking love it. It would have blown Orphan out of the water. But unfortunately, was not meant to be. They had an album before this, too. It was just a self-titled album. But it was like 5 or 6 years beforehand, and it had a lot of different members, and I don't even think it had the same vocalists. But one of the songs that they had in their set, like, 'cause I've seen some live video of them, only one song from that first album was a song that they would play. So it's kind of weird. But I've never actually listened to that first album all the way through. Orphan's still pretty good, but yeah, Apology Accepted would have been amazing. Cyclefly, Irish nu metal. This was the heavier album they released. They also had a second album called Crave, which had a couple of hits, including a song called Karma Killer, which had Chester Bennington of Linkin Park on it. That's a song most people seem to know because of Linkin Park's popularity. But the first album was heavier, and I like it a lot. The second album was more streamlined and melodic, and had a number of super soft ballady songs that seemed like they should have been done well on radio. I don't know how they did in Ireland, but not anything here. Alright, so that's 3 stacks out of the way. I got one last stack. Alright, so Neurotica. A band formed by the Atheist vocalist. It's a death metal band from Florida. I saw these guys at Ozfest, and they kind of border on nu metal and hard rock. They also did a badass cover of I Am the Walrus from the Beatles. But it's a good heavy-hitting hard rock band with nu metal elements. Mudvayne's LD50. This is actually my second favorite Mudvayne album. Everyone prefers this one, but End of All Things to Come is my favorite one. The one not falling on it. Although I can deal without ever hearing World So Cold again. Same line as Ghost Machine. This is Motograder. For anybody who doesn't know this is the vocalist of Five Finger Death Punch, severely before he had started Five Finger Death Punch. They too played Ozfest. I didn't get to see them though. One of my friends at the time who went with me did see them, and he said they were fucking awesome. They had a turned down bass that was like dragged. It was like a flat bass that wasn't actually part of an instrument. Like, it didn't have it was like on a table, like these super thick strings, and I think the guy hit him with like a hammer. It sounds awesome. I don't know how well it would be to execute, but Methods of Mayhem. This album is alright. Get Naked was the super hit. There was also New Skin that had Kid Rock in it. And but it's okay. I really liked Metamorphosis and was it Car Crash? Car Crash. Oh, just called Crash. Those songs were awesome. This album, I don't know who told me about these guys or if I just weirdly found them myself. It's Method 51. I really like this album, and no one seems to know who the hell they are. I don't know where they're from. I could probably actually just... Oh. They seem like a US band. Oh, wait, you know what? I do know where they're from. They're from Cali because a lot of their stuff they played with Machine Head and stuff like that. That is not a new metal album. But yeah, Marked was a song I listened to a lot, and that was on the Method 51 album. I really wish I had the second new metal album these guys did, but I've just got the first one. Machine Head's The Burning Red. It's the one with From This Day on it. Really good album, but Supercharger, the one after it with Crashing Around You, that's the album I prefer. I'm going to try and get through the rest of this so this video isn't an eternity. Okay, I've got... Oof. A lot of albums. Alright. Itchy. Okay. Back. Project 86, Drawing Black Lines. I love this album. This is probably my second favorite Project 86 album. Even though I've spent more time with Truthless Heroes, this album is way better. It's the one that came before it. They were a little heavier. It had that super prominent, like, raised in the mix bass sound that I praised on Loco for. And that album's really good. It had PS on it, which I believe was on the soundtrack to the second Blair Witch movie. I can't completely remember. But, professional murder music. Kind of like Korn with synths before Untouchables. Actually, it was 2001. It might have been the same time as Untouchables. But these guys, I don't really have all that much to say about them. Slow was on a movie soundtrack that I can't remember. Might have been End of Days. But they were a really good band. And they also did a fantastic cover of The Cure's A Night Like This. Not many people liked these guys. Pressure 4-5. They had Beat the World. I used to see it all the time on MTV X. The album itself is alright. It's nothing super crazy good, but... yes. Power Man, 5,000. How many do I have? Where? I only got 3, I think. The new one, Builders of the Future. It sucks. Somewhere on the Other Side of Nowhere, the one before it, actually, there was a cover album before it, so 2 albums ago. This one's really good. It was a good return to form after the, Destroy What You Enjoy. That album sucks. The hit, Tonight the Stars Revolt. It's one of When Worlds Collide and Nobody's Real on it. Fantastic album. Some people will say this is a new metal album. I disagree with you. Pitch Shifters PSI. They were an industrial metal band in the early 90s, and then they started to streamline their sound. They were most known for, they had a techno-y hit called Genius. They're from the UK. And that became rather big. And then they released another album where they kind of became a little more nu metal-y, and then this album was the last one they ever released. And, wonderful album, start to finish. Pete. I remember Sweet Days and Drugstore Alibi, and I don't remember much else. It was, from what I remember, a mixture of nu metal and hard rock, and it worked, but yeah, I don't remember much about the album. Another album that I'm missing the back sleeve of, Infest from Papa Roach. Second favorite Papa Roach album behind Love, Hate, Tragedy, which for some reason I don't own, because I'm fucking dumb. Blah, blah, blah. POD. Fundamental Elements of a South Town is alright. I liked Hollywood, I like Southtown, and what else do you got on here? Rock the Party's okay, Bullet the Blue Sky I like. I think that might be it. But yeah, this was the hit album. It's one with Alive and Satellite and Boom, and it's a really good album. It was a bit overrated when it came out, but I've grown to quite like it. I have an autographed album. OTEP, Sevastra. I don't remember when I got this autographed. I think it's probably Ozfest 02. But, yeah. I loved this shit out of this album for a long time. I haven't listened to it in full in quite some time, but OTEP's kind of gone the wayside. Speaking of which, Smash the Control Machine. Later OTEP. Very okay. This might have been the album where they cover... Nope, never mind. The one before this, I believe it was called Ascension. That one was better. House of Secrets sucked. And, but yeah, Ascension, they covered Nirvana. But yeah, Smash the Control Machine's okay. Orgy's Vapor Transmission, my favorite Orgy album. This, like, actually, I take that back because it's always a back and forth battle. It depends on my mood. But whether I go with this or if I go with Candy Ass. But both are really good albums. I tend to like the cleaner, heavier synth sound of this album than the darker, more broody sound of the first one. And Punk Static Paranoia is alright. The new stuff fucking blows, and I hate it. One Side Zero. These guys kind of sounded like Tool. It's alright. It's not the best thing I've ever heard. But yeah, they kind of sounded like Tool Light. The opposite way that Chevelle sounded like Tool Light. Because they went more for the progressive elements instead of the vocal. But yeah, One Side Zero was cool. But they had a second album that I vaguely remember, but the little I remember about it, I remember it sucking. The whatever one had Batman's breath on it. Nothing Faces Violence. I love this album. And actually, I should have just held up the other ones. Look, an audio guide to everyday atrocity. I don't know why nobody listens to this one. I love this album. And the first one. Look at that baby. That was a doll. You got a hole in your head. It's called Pacifier. But yeah, Violence is a close second behind Skeletons. Audio guides, actually not too far off from Violence, and Pacifier's okay. It's kind of a little unrefined for what I want out of Nothing Face. No One. Kind of tried to sound like Spine Shank. They were okay. They had a song called Chemical that some people knew, and they were on the Pledge of Allegiance tour with Slipknot, Mudvayne, and American Head Charge. That's all you need to know about No One. Except that it's funny when anybody asks me what I'm listening to, and I get to say No One, and they think I'm being a dick. This is an album, admittedly, I've never listened to. I think it's nu metal based on the way they look, and the year it came out, and the song names. Noise Therapy, Tension. I don't know. They have a song called G-Hole. It's awesome, right? This, I had forgotten I had. It's a band called NMSO4. They changed their name to Crooked. I love the crap out of this album. They took overusing effects to a whole new limit. They kind of had a coal chamber look with a somewhat of a Korn sound-ish. Actually, take those two bands and mix them together sound-wise. It kind of had that. And Loco. The band, not the song. And it kind of felt like that. It wasn't much rap-ish elements to it, but every once in a while. But yeah, super affected guitars, deep mixed down drums, or buried drums. This is an album I don't actually like, but it was in the pile, so I threw it in here. Third Strike. Was it Lost Angel? This album sucks. Flow Heat is cool. That's about it. If you like Third Strike, fuck you. I'm just kidding. I'm not. You can like Third Strike all you want. Alright. Taproot. Our Long Road Home. It's alright. Plead the Fifth. Really good. Blue Sky Research. Really good. Welcome is okay. Except for the hits. The hits work. Gift. Everyone likes Gift. Everyone who likes Taproot likes Gift. I wish I had the import version with Day by Day on it. But that's hard to come by. Is that pile's still not in the view. It's up to here. It's a lot. And it's 3 stacks. But alright, hold on one sec. So we're finally at the end of this. And one more stack to go. This video is going to be forever. But you know what? If you're really interested in seeing what I have and what I have to say, then just deal with it. Systematic somewhere in between. Don't you focus on me. This album was really good. I didn't really care for the second album too much. But this one had Deep Colors Bleed and Beginning of the End on it. Then the singer left the band after the second album and formed something with Snake. Oh wait, no, Spiral Arms. And they released 3 albums, and they're a little closer to like Clutch but less shitty, and I like them. But yeah, Systematic, their first album's really good. Another band who kind of had a very short life, but people liked them, was Switched. Inside was a fairly popular song. I used to see the video for it pretty regularly. But they had a second album that I don't know if they did anything with it. Like, I don't remember how it came to be, but I ended up picking it up somewhere. It was, excuse me, Ghost in the Machine or something like that. That album was alright. But, yeah, the first Switched album is a good chunk of what you would expect out of nu metal. From the Lifer camp, remember I mentioned Strangers with Candy? This was the EP they released before they were changed their name to Lifer. This actually cost me quite a bit getting it off Amazon. It's a good album. Everything's like the few songs that were re-released on the self-titled or the Lifer album. A bit different. And the version of Perfect on here, which is an acoustic song on the album, is actually a hard rock or a rockier song on this one. But you know, I like this album, and it had a couple songs that they didn't remake. Do I have both of these? Nope, I do not. Stereo Mud, first album, Perfect Self. I really like the second album as well, but for some reason I don't have it. They had Pain on it. Some people liked that song, but not many people I knew actually had the Stereo Mud album. Steppa. I don't remember who showed me this. But they had a song called Aquarium that I listened to fairly regularly. And these guys were from... I don't feel that these... Wait. Whoever produced this, I know that name, but I'm drawing a blank on it. Jay Baumgardner. He did something else I like. But yeah, I'm drawing a blank on who told me about these guys, where they're from, something like that. Let's see. I have 2 albums from Stained at the very ends of their discography. Dysfunction. I'd love to have a copy of Tormented. This is a really good album, and for some reason I picked this up when I was working on a cruise ship. The last one, I think. I don't think they've released one since. But this was a return to form of them being aggressive, and it was okay. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world. The couple music videos they released for it were fucking stupid looking though. But the album itself is alright. Let's see what we got here. Spine Shank. Alright, we're gonna go in reverse order. It's a Self-Destructive Pattern. It's this album took a while for me to grow on me, but I like it now. Height of Callousness, fantastic album, and my favorite Spinecheck album. And the Strictly Diesel, the first one where they kind of had almost a Fear Factory sound. I think the singer of Fear Factory was on a song. It was either Mend or Stain, I can't remember. But Spinecheck was a good band, and I wish I had gotten to see them before they disappeared and then regrouped, and that the singer had that other metalcore band that fucking sucked. Silent Civilian. They sucked. And then he came back, and then they came back, released a new album, and he brought too many of those elements into it, and it sounds like shit. So I don't think I'd go see them live now. Speak No Evil. I used to see this in used CD bins all the time, didn't know who they were, and just randomly picked it up one day. So I was like, oh, that looks like it's cool, the dollar is... It's actually pretty good. Clearly, bargain bin new metal, but they had elements of, like, Machine Head and Dust to Dust and stuff like that. Even light elements of, like, Soulfly. Speaking of which... Soulfly! First 2 albums. Why don't I have 3? That's my favorite album. Primitive. It's the one with Back to the Primitive on it, obviously. And the first one with Eye for an Eye on it. I like this one significantly less than Primitive, but it's still a good album. But 3, as I said, is my favorite, and I don't know why I don't have a copy of it. As I mentioned earlier, I don't have a copy of the self-titled Slipknot album for some reason. But I have Volume 3. It's alright. They changed their sound a little bit too much for my taste. If I wanted that sort of sound, I'd just listen to Stone Sour. And All Hope Is Gone fucking blows. Sloth. Dead Generation. Look at that broken case over there. I don't really have much to say about these guys. They're alright. The title track, which was a single, was really good, but aside from that, there's a few songs in the album that I like. Not much past that. Sleeves on Dope. Canada's hardcore nu metal band. The first album, fantastic. Second album, half good. But they were trying to change their sound. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. They tried to take the slightly more cleaned up rock route, like a lot of their contemporaries were doing at the time. It worked in some songs. They tried a couple of like ballady songs and it didn't really work. Oh, running out of CDs. Yes. Scrape. I have both Scrape albums. This one's really good. This one's even better. But very, as many nu metal bands you're starting to see have done, this album very different from this album. Very different. Like, this was the cleaned up, streamlined album, but it worked. I usually compare these to what Apartment 26 did. And, you know what, Slaves on Dope as well. But, yeah, the first one had a couple of hits, and I think it sold really well. The second one did not. But, let's see what else we got here. A friend of mine named Sean loved these guys. They're okay. 6 Gig from, like, I think Maine? But, yeah, those guys are okay. Sinistar. Awesome fucking band. Also on the Heavy Metal 2000 soundtrack, they had a song called Psycho Sexy. How do I not have the one Simon Says album? I wish I had. This is Jumpstart. It's the one before... I can't remember the name of the album. Oh, Shut Your Breath. That's the... Shut Your Breath is the Simon Says album that I absolutely love. But I don't know why I don't have a copy of it. I think I picked Jumpstart up just to see what they sounded like beforehand. It's not as good, but it's still alright. Another album I've never listened to that a friend of mine told me to pick up. Sappy Bell, Die Again Tomorrow? I've never listened to this. But, one day. It's in my collection. The other Reveille album, the far less interesting Laced. It's the one with Take a Look Around on it, or Permanent. It's actually an album I don't like. Reach 454, very, very average sound. Doesn't really work for me. Oh, there's a song with the Papa Roach guy in it. Know who else had a song with the Papa Roach guy in it? Die Trying. That album sucks. The only Rage Against the Machine album I like. Battle of Los Angeles. I don't like the first 2 Rage albums. It's all because of Zach De La Rocha. Vocals suck. But this one, I could get past that because the songs were fucking awesome. And yeah, new metal. Excuse me. Calling Rage new metal. It's not what a lot of people like calling them, but whatever. Don't care. All right, we're down to the nitty gritty here. Kind of new metal, more rap rock, and sometimes just hip hop. Icelandic group Karashi. Jinx, it was the one with Stick 'Em Up on it and Mr. Jinx, and those songs did quite well. Yeah, I think they were more popular in their home country than they were over here. But I remember Stick 'Em Up doing okay. Band that I don't know why they weren't bigger than they were. Pulse Ultra. They were pretty experimental for what they were doing. They had an alternative rock or alternative metal sound. You could kind of lump them in with One Side Zero and like Tool. Lately, I'm not saying they're exactly like Tool, but they were good, and every aspect of the band, like all the musicians in the band were really good. The singer was really good. The songs they wrote were really good, but it didn't catch on. Build Your Cages did okay. That was the only thing I ever heard in the radio. But anyways, if you ever want something interesting that isn't run-of-the-mill new metal, try out Pulse Ultra. Same goes for these guys, which I can never get anybody into. Psychor. Look at those butts. Butts. Psychor were a Swedish kind of new metal band. They were very odd. They didn't use many... they kind of got right to the point with a lot of their songs. And they were also very tongue-in-cheek. Which didn't work for a lot of new metal fans. But I really like Psychor. Those 2 albums are fantastic. And we'll end this with something that Juna will appreciate. The rest of my Project 86 collection. Truthless Heroes, as I already mentioned. Hollow Again is awesome. This one is Rival Factions. I don't know if I've ever actually listened to this album. And The Rest Will Follow, which is the follow-up to Songs to Burn Your Bridges By. That one I've heard a couple times, but not in a while. So I need to, because I've been listening to Project 86 more recently, I need to recheck these albums out and see how they actually hold up and if they're worth my regular time. But anyways, I'm out of new metal. That's pretty good, right? Yeah, there's a lot of albums, there's a lot of key albums I'm missing. I don't have as much Korn as people probably wish I did, but I should pick up a copy of Untouchables at some point because I love that album, and Follow the Leader. But yeah, I'm going to the flea market and used CD stores pretty regularly, so I'll start filling out the holes in this from what I can find. So, alright, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Check out my other videos, and no. Bye.